She was the perfect daughter. Straight A student, talented pianist, loving and respectful. But appearances can be deadly. One quiet night in a peaceful Canadian suburb, a frantic 911 call shattered the calm. A home invasion. A mother dead. A father barely clinging to life. And the daughter? Found tied up, miraculously unharmed. AS investigators pulled at the threads of her story. A shocking truth unraveled. One of lies, betrayal, and a plan so twisted it seemed unthinkable. What drives a daughter to plot the murder of her own parents? Was it love? Fear? Freedom? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear is not just a true crime story, that it's a descent into a mind trapped by pressure and shattered by choice. If chilling psychological crime stories fascinate you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This is the disturbing case of Jennifer Pan, and it begins now. On the night of November 8, 2010, in a quiet suburb of Toronto, a chilling home invasion unfolded at the Pan family residence. Jennifer Pan, a 24-year-old Canadian woman, called 911 in a panic, frantically reporting that armed intruders had broken into her home, tied her up, and shot her parents. When police arrived at the house in Markham, Ontario, they found Jennifer bound to a stair railing and a truly grim scene upstairs. Jennifer's mother, Bitch Pan, 53, had been shot and killed in her bedroom. Her father, Huihan Pan, 57, was shot in the face, critically wounded but somehow clinging to life. The attackers, according to Jennifer, had fled, taking some cash and leaving her miraculously unharmed. It looked like a burglary gone horrifically wrong. However, as detectives from the York Regional Police launched a manhunt for 3 suspected gunmen, inconsistencies began to surface in Jennifer's story. Why did these supposed robbers shoot the parents' execution style but spare Jennifer, the only eyewitness? Why was there no sign of forced entry? And how did Jennifer manage to call 911 while tied up? Over several days of careful, stress interview questioning, during which Jennifer repeated and then subtly revised her account, police grew more convinced that something was off. In a stunning turn, the investigation turned toward Jennifer herself as the mastermind behind the attack. Facing mounting evidence and after multiple interrogations, Jennifer Pan eventually broke down and confessed to orchestrating a murder-for-hire plot against her own mom and dad. The truth was almost unbelievable. Jennifer, it turned out, had been living a double life, weaving an elaborate web of lies for years to appease her strict parents. The Pans were Vietnamese-born immigrants who, through hard work, had built a comfortable life in Canada. They had high expectations for their children. Jennifer was pressured to excel academically, to win scholarships, to become a successful professional, essentially, to fulfill the classic tiger parent's dream. But in high school, Jennifer began to falter. She failed classes and didn't graduate, yet hid this from her parents by forging report cards. She then pretended to attend university when in fact she never enrolled, going so far as to fake a college diploma. All the while, she was secretly dating a boy her parents had forbidden her to see, Daniel Wong, a high school sweetheart whom her father and mother disapproved of. When her lies began to crumble, her parents discovered she had never actually been attending college and that she was sneaking off to see Daniel. They reacted by tightening their control. They took away Jennifer's phone, barred her from seeing her boyfriend, and essentially put her on house arrest. Jennifer, 24 years old, felt trapped and depressed. In her mind, she had only 2 ways out: suicide or an evil idea that began taking shape: hiring hitmen to kill her parents. Over the summer and fall of 2010, Jennifer and Daniel Wong plotted the murder scenario. Text messages later revealed they initially discussed having the hitmen kill Jennifer herself, so it would look like she died too, perhaps to avoid suspicion or as a twisted way for Jennifer to escape her life. But this plan evolved into targeting the parents directly. With help from some acquaintances, Daniel connected Jennifer to 2 men willing to do the job for cash. Jennifer promised to pay $5,000 for each parent out of the anticipated inheritance she'd receive. On that fateful night, the plan was carried out. The hired intruders, later identified as David Mulvaganam and Linford Crawford, entered through the unlocked front door. Jennifer had deliberately unlocked it and even left lights on as a signal. They staged a robbery, took Bitch and Handpan to the basement, and shot them both. Bitch was fatally wounded, but in a stroke of fate, Hand survived, a fact that would seal Jennifer's undoing. The gunman fled, and Jennifer performed her rehearsed role, tying herself loosely to the banister and dialing 911 to in the aftermath. While Jennifer initially played the part of the victim, her father Handpan survived and later awakened from a coma, providing key testimony. To his and the investigators' horror, Hen recounted that he recalled seeing his daughter whispering to one of the intruders as if they were friendly, a detail that blew apart Jennifer's facade of innocence. When confronted with the inconsistencies in her father's account, Jennifer eventually admitted to her role in the crime. She, her boyfriend Daniel, and the two hitmen, as well as another accomplice who was a go-between, were all arrested and charged. The trial in 2014 captivated Canada, revealing the full depth of Jennifer Pan's deception. Witnesses described how she lived under intense pressure and strict household rules. No dating, no social outings, just study. Conditions that some characterized as abusive, though it was not abuse in the traditional physical sense. Jennifer's defense tried to argue she was emotionally vulnerable and never truly intended her parents to die. At one point, she absurdly claimed the plan was a kill me instead arrangement that went awry. The prosecution, however, showed the meticulous phone records and texts coordinating the hit, painting Jennifer as a cold-blooded planner who saw her parents as obstacles to be removed, whether for love, freedom, or even money. In December 2014, a jury found Jennifer Pan guilty of first-degree murder of her mother and the attempted murder of her father. She was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole for 25 years, the mandatory sentence in Canada for such crimes. Her co-conspirators, Daniel Wong, Mulvaganam, and Crawford, received the same life sentences. A getaway driver, Eric Carty, made a plea deal for a lesser charge but died in prison a few years later. The Jennifer Pan case is often cited as a real-life example of how extreme parental pressure and a lack of open communication can lead to dire consequences. It's a story about the clash between two generations: immigrant parents with high expectations and a daughter who felt she had to lie about every aspect of her life to survive their standards. While nothing justifies Jennifer's choices, the cold-blooded plotting to kill the very people who raised her. Understanding the context makes it a deeply tragic tale all around. Jennifer's father and brother, who miraculously survived that night, her brother was away at college during the incident, expressed profound grief and anger. Pan, recovering from a gunshot wound and the betrayal, stated in court that he wished he had never had a daughter and that he can no longer bring himself to say her name. As of the latest updates, Jennifer Pan remains incarcerated, having even had an appeal for a new trial ordered in 2023 over a legal technicality. But her conviction for attempted murder of her father still stands, keeping her behind bars. This case stands as a haunting narrative of how a perfect daughter persona built on lies collapsed into a brutal family crime, leaving a cautionary legacy that no amount of deceit can outrun the truth. Another case closed, or is it? Join the investigation, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next mystery is already on its way.